Okay, new day, new knife. So there's our blank spot. As usual, we have materials. And today's knife will be the Cabela's Pivot DBS in brown micarta and 440 steel. Just 440 is what the package said. That was probably the worst flip that it's done since I've had it. Full flat grind. Oops. Cuts paper. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so there's some material, not too much, and check this edge here. I'm gonna say it still cuts. Now, I did encounter some a security tag that had a metal insert, so that might be why there's a dull spot. Yeah, I'm gonna say it still cuts. It still cuts paper, but it looks like it's getting to that point. So, but we'll keep going. Okay, so I think it's time. Not too much stuff processed. The first cut was good, but I know I was extremely kind yesterday to the 511 Tactical Heron. That thing never got touched up, but probably should have been. So this one, it's sharper near the top, but not down here. So we're going to go ahead and do 10 on each side of the sharpener on the ceramic rods. Okay. There we go. A lot better. Okay, so on we go. Definitely, I can feel a difference with cutting cardboard now. So I think there was probably a chip somewhere, or a knurl, or whatever they call it, a roll, due to that metal. But that's the nice thing too about this steel is it's so easy to touch up. I literally did less than 20 seconds or 30 seconds on ceramic rods, and it's back to cutting paper or cardboard. Well, paper. So okay, it is halftime. So got a little bit more material processed. I'm going to start adding some rubber bands, wood, plastic, foam, other things. Let's go ahead and check this edge. I've already sharpened it once. And cuts paper. So that tells me that it was more than likely the piece of metal that I hit with the blade that kind of made it so I had to sharpen it again. So anyway, very comfortable handle. That clip, you can notice, I can feel it, but it's not pointed, so it's not uncomfortable. No blade play. Oops. Okay. Chicken! There is nothing like the feeling of getting off work. Can't get that feeling unless you go to work. So I am done for the day. Let us go ahead and give you my final thoughts on this Cabela's Pivot DBS Brown Micarta knife. So after lunch, let me get my notes here. So I did do some heavy cardboard with duct tape taped on it, foam packing inserts, cut up some straws. I did a good job with that. Plastic packaging. I like to save what I can of plastic, like the blister packs. Let me see if I have an example. Like when you get a knife, I like to save those just to process them with the knife. I did a good job on braided rope. Rubber bands, I did a nice job. When I say nice job, it's like very cut very snappy. Wooden pencils and dowels, it whittles very well. And it actually did a great job on bicycle inner tubes. This is after that sharpening. Let's go ahead and... So it still cuts paper, and what I'm thinking is that I did hit something metal in that security tag, because it was still cutting up in this area. Oops, just poked myself. But this is where it was having some trouble, so I touched it up. Now keep in mind, I touched it up a total of 10 strokes. Less than 30 seconds. If I hadn't hit that metal, I wonder if this would have survived the whole 8 hours. But even if it didn't, for the amount of stuff that it processed, I mean, like I've said in previous videos, you're not going to use the knife for 8 hours straight the way I did. I mean, it's not like I sit there, I mean, you know, but it's like constant use. I mean, lots of cuts. Most people are just needing a knife to open up a package or whatever. So anyway, my point of this whole vlog series is that you can get a good knife without spending hundreds of dollars. So, a couple things. The liner lock jimping, it's not bad. I do like it. It is not pointed. It's not pokey at the top, and it doesn't protrude like what was that one? The Buck Vantage I just got. It had a liner lock, even though it wasn't jimped, but it was like sticking out like that. So it kind of affected the comfort. I mean, not horrible, but this is so much better. I mean, it is. The clip, you can feel it, but it's not pokey. Even with it sticking up like this, it did not give me any discomfort. And even when I touched it up, very quick. You know, do you want to be somewhere... Like, I always carry my sharpener around my lanyard. But, you know, it's easy to sharpen. That's just the whole point. I do not find joy in sharpening. I mean, I like it that it cuts paper, and that's all I need it to do. Because even when it gets to a point where it's having trouble cutting paper, it still is processing cardboard relatively easy. Brown Micarta scales. Nice pivot there. Lockup is good. No play. No blade play still. Centered. You know, $30 knife. It's hard to nitpick. It even has recessed screws into the clip. If this was a $100 knife, I might say something about one of the screws being slightly up, but it's a $30 knife. So, oh, and I really like that drop point. Very stabby. Flat ground, full flat ground. So they have other knives in the Pivot DBS series. I did not get the G10 one just because it was ugly. The G10 design was just ugly. And then some of the other ones, this is the only flat ground one I found. They were clip points, hollow grinds, and I'll reveal those in the upcoming weeks or days or whatever, whenever I get to them. I don't really have a schedule as far as what knives I'm going to be testing. But man, for $30, and I know a lot of people are like, well, you can order blah, blah, blah online, Ganzos, blah, blah, blah. I don't buy knives online. So this is stuff you can get in a brick and mortar store, at least in my area. So Cabela's, Bass Pro Shops, places like that, Academy Sports. Well, you won't find this at Academy Sports, but so 440 steel. That's it. Not HC, not C, not anything, just 440. I'm willing to bet it would go 8 hours without being touched up. But even for the one touch-up that I did, I mean, it was so slicey afterwards that I hadn't had to touch it up again. So, and again, that's a fair amount of material. You got to figure each cut would represent like opening something. So, good job, Cabela's. I remember the first Cabela's knife I bought a couple years ago, or maybe it was last year. It had some up and down blade play. I was not impressed. The new series seems to be a lot better, so I'm glad I took a chance. I do have a couple other Cabela's. Pivot DBS, I think that's what it was. It was they didn't have the Pivot DBS line back when I first saw them. So, anyway, now for the rest of my day.